Tensions are high after North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles towards a U.S. nuclear submarine. It states here, just hours after a U.S. ballistic missile submarine arrived in South Korea port for the first time in 4 decades, the USS Kentucky, an Ohio-class nuclear-armed ballistic missile submarine, made port in the southeastern city of Busan. Its arrival coincided with the start of talks among the allies to coordinate responses in the event of a nuclear war with North Korea. These are the monstrous times that we're living in. You have Japan, South Korea, and America on one side, where a communistic dictatorship on North Korea's side. Here's more about this news story.
North Korea's state media released this video, which appears to show the recent launch of North Korea's Hwasong-18 intercontinental ballistic missile. Japan confirmed it flew for more than an hour, rising to a height of more than 6 kilometers, achieving North Korea's longest ever missile flight time. The leaders of South Korea and Japan were meeting on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Lithuania when the launch took place on Wednesday. The United Nations Security Council has adopted at least 9 major sanctions resolutions against North Korea.
Also during this time, a U.S. soldier, Private Travis King, has defected allegedly to North Korea, fearing prosecution in his arrival back to Fort Bliss. According to NPR, Private Second Class Travis King has been a cavalry scout with the U.S. Army since January of 2021. The 23-year-old had been stationed in South Korea but had recently been held in prison there on charges of assault. Now, this particular assault was dealing with the local population within Korea, not another U.S. soldier. Before bolting into North Korea, King was being escorted to an airport outside of Seoul where he was expected to board a plane bound for Fort Bliss, Texas, to face military disciplinary action. Allegedly, the news that came out about Travis King that he was actually going to be dishonorably discharged because of his altercation within South Korea. Also, allegedly, he spent 47 days in a South Korean jail. Officials got him through airport security, but somehow Kim managed to ditch the escort and make his way out of the terminal and back to the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea. It states here that King cried out, then ran between 2 buildings and eventually into North Korea. It's unclear if he planned to defect. Other news also stated that he didn't cry out, he laughed out, he heckled, he ha ha ha, so to speak. I will explain more into defecting a little bit later in the video. It states here, according to the Defense Secretary of the United States of America, I'm absolutely foremost concerned about the welfare of our troop, Austin said. Understanding the military and what some occurrences occurred, I was actually stationed in Korea for 4 years, not consecutively, but 4 different times. So it's most likely that this private was going to be dishonorably discharged because of his actions. According to Travis King's mother, Claudine Gates, she says that the last time she heard from her son was a few days ago when he called to tell her he was headed back to his base in Fort Bliss, Texas, according to the outlet. Some experts say that the trip just to the demilitarized zone takes days of planning. Jacko Swatsalut, North Korean news podcast and a former employee of a tour company that took U.S. troops to the border, told the BBC that there was no way this person could escape from the airport one day and book onto one of these tours the next. These trips usually take 3 days to plan, and tour goers must submit their passports and other credentials to authorities. This has a lot of experts to believe that Travis King actually planned this a couple of days prior to, while he still had possession of his military ID card as well as his U.S. passport, because in escorting someone to the airport, which I've done on many occasions while I was stationed there in South Korea, as an escort, we hold on to their personal ID card as well as their passport until they get to the security gate in order to board the plane. We have special papers that allow us through the terminals so we can actually escort that subject to the plane itself. So there's a lot to unpack here when I'm analyzing this, because I have a little bit of experience in this as I was stationed in Korea for 4 years. He either planned this 3 or 4 days out, or he did this on a whim, and everything fell in place for this mission to succeed. Here's more in this story.
3-year-old U.S. soldier in North Korean custody this morning. A U.S. official says Private Travis King has served 2.5 years in the military. He bolted across the border, effectively handing himself over to Kim Jong-un's isolated government.
One of our service members who was on a tour, willfully and without authorization crossed the military demarcation line.
2 US officials telling NBC News he was supposed to have left the country. Another official said military police escorted him as far as they could go to an airport checkpoint. He then tagged along a commercial tour to the demilitarized zone and made the dangerous crossing. A tourist from New Zealand saying she witnessed the incident.
Suddenly I noticed a guy dressed in black. Then the US and South Korean soldiers sort of realized what was happening, chased after him, but they didn't catch him.
King's mother speaking out overnight, telling ABC News, quote, "I can't see Travis doing anything like that." The Associated Press reporting, according to US officials speaking anonymously, that King had been imprisoned in South Korea on assault charges and was released earlier this month. A US official telling NBC News escorts from the tour tried to chase the soldier but didn't catch him. In 2017, a North Korean soldier was shot multiple times as he dashed across the border to defect to the south. He had to be dragged in darkness to safety. That same year, US hostage Otto Warmbier was released after 18 months detention. He was in a vegetative state and died soon afterwards.
As I stated earlier, we'll go over what defecting is. So defecting, according to the Oxford Language Dictionary, it states that abandon one's country or cause in favor of opposing one. So what I believe, in my personal opinion, that King was fearing prosecution back here in the United States of America, as well as a dishonorable discharge, was caused him to erratically flee and defect, allegedly, into North Korea. But this is not the first time that a U.S. soldier or other Americans have defected to North Korea. It states here, there have already been 5, potentially, or 6 U.S. military defections, the most famous of those being James Joseph Dresnock and Charles Robert Jenkins. Now, when it comes to people defecting, I have a couple of thoughts that comes to mind why some people may defect, whether it be political or ideological belief, because some soldiers may defect because they believe in the North Korean political system or ideology. They may feel that North Korea is a better place to live than the United States, or they may believe that they can make a difference in the world by defecting. Some of them may have family ties, which I believe Travis King, being a Black American, does not. Also, mental health problems, what I'm strongly leaning to that he's had some sort of psychotic break, because some soldiers may defect because they are struggling with mental health problems. They may be feeling overwhelmed by the stress of military life or the fear of prosecution because he already stayed 47 days in jail. He's going to be possibly dishonorably discharged, or they may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder as well. Lastly, North Korea has been known to pressure U.S. soldiers to defect. They may offer financial incentives, or they may threaten the soldier's family back in the United States, which I believe this is not the case. In some instances, I believe this is a mental health problem he may be going through, or his fear of prosecution and dishonorable discharge from the United States military in accordance with his 47-day jail time in South Korea. Other than the reasons that I already state, I have no idea why Travis King will cross over into North Korean, giving all of the brief, the missionary statements, and the information that's provided by the government as well as the South Korean government when you're being briefed when you get inside of country. Now, I don't know the extenuating circumstances around his alleged assault case, but what I know, something is very, very wrong here. In days, weeks, and months ahead, we should be finding out more information and some potential causes of why Private Travis King has crossed over and allegedly defected into North Korea. Nonetheless, my love and support goes out to his mother, Claudine Gates. I hope that your son comes home.